Welcome to a very special edition of Independent Artists Unite, the return of the madman from San Juan, Kevin from Basavriuk.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for
Welcome
having
back.
me. Honored to be back, dude.
I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, waiting and waiting and waiting. Why
Oh,
the
man.
wait? Why the wait, Kevin? Why the wait?
Why the wait? I ask myself the same question too, man. You guys are posting left and right and just getting your art out there, and I love seeing that. And I'm just here like, man, like I don't know if it's just like this, like, man, the track's not ready, or I want to do something bigger. But I think for this one, I'm just like, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's put something out.
Well, I love this new tune. Um, it's interesting that Misery, um, he commented about your bass, with Chef Kiss. The bass sounds
I love that.
really good on this, really
Oh,
good. And so many, it's kind of like, a lot of people try to do that kind of bass. It's not it really as easy as it sounds, is it?
honestly, the thing with my bass, like, and I would say just in general with what I do with this project, it's pretty straightforward, but because that's like my main instrument, always has been, like, I don't know, I feel like just naturally those little kicks and like the tone that I go for just come out. And it's just
Mm.
like, maybe it's just years and years and years of like always having my bass in the back burner. And I'm like, let's go forward. Let's have fun with it. Let's make it like just in your face as possible.
Yeah, I totally love it. I totally love it. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, because I played bass for a while in my various iterations over long periods of time. But I was singing and playing bass, which is
Oh,
tough. But also I got a real appreciation because I think the bass parts that I wrote were very simple, but I got a real appreciation for, you know, people that really have a great control over the bass like you do, and with sliding
yeah.
strings. And it sounds fun and easy, but it's like pick up a bass and give it a whirl and you're like, whoa, how do you control this thing?
I've
So
actually, yeah, man. Thank you. I feel like I've come full circle where I just, growing up, it's like, how complicated can I play? I would do the Geddy Lee stuff. I would do the yes, just like all the proggy stuff. And then like when I discovered post punk, I'm like, I just had this fascination of like, they're simple lines, but they're very present. I guess like the chorus and like the twang.
mm,
And just I kind of appreciated more the minimal stuff. And now going back, when I feel like the simpler the line is, recording wise, it's just like I just mess up more and more. I'm like,
yeah,
God, like,
yeah, right. um I was wondering, could you read the lyrics to
absolutely, yeah, man.
Below and Beyond? Yeah, because
So,
it's your vocal style is like I love it, but it is hard to pick out the lyrics. So I thought it'd be cool if you.
yeah, of course, yeah, no, and that's, I mean, I've gotten the same feedback of like, hey, yeah, cool, I like what you're doing. Wish I could understand what you're saying, but we'll work on that. So I've got the lyrics here.
Well, I disagree. I don't think you should change it. I don't think you should understand what you're saying. I love that about it.
Awesome.
I remember, it reminds me a bit of I don't think I thought of this before, but it's like sometimes it reminds me of REM if Michael Stipe never sang. Like if it was only Mike Mills backgrounds, Was it
That's
Mike
cool,
Mills?
actually. I've
Right?
never, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Mike
the
Mills.
first
Yeah.
time I hear that.
Yeah,
That's
because he
awesome.
sings that he's got that tenor and falsetto kind of background. And a lot of times you're like, well, a lot of times in REM, you're like, what the fuck? Did they say you never know?
Yeah,
But that was part of the fun of like digging out the albums and reading the lyrics, and then you're like, oh, that's
it's
what it
all
is. So I
clicking.
think that's I've always enjoyed bands like that where you have to like dig for hidden treasure.
Agree. It's like, oh, there's like deeper context. There's like the floaty feel, and then like it's like, oh, all right, there's something there.
Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
tell us what's
So,
there.
all right, so here we go. Below and Beyond. It starts off, how do I relay the bell? Southbound, uncharted grounds. No, I couldn't believe it. I'm finding my way back down. I'm gathering pieces of my love. Crawl around the gates of hell, glass crown, uncovered mound. No, I couldn't believe it. I'm finding my way back down. I'm gathering pieces of my love. And that's
Oh,
where it ends.
wow, that is a beautiful piece of poetry right there.
Thank you, man.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
but now I recognize that you pre-posted this as a poem in your stories, right? Before the actual
Uh,
release. Because I remember when that came up and I was like, I don't think this is this one of his old songs, or I didn't know if it was a demo because you were also posting some SoundCloud demo stuff. Um, but wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember when that when you posted that one day that I was really um that really resonated through my head, those words.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. I definitely went about posting it as obscure and as undescriptive as possible. Just like, here you go. Like,
Yeah.
so I appreciate that, man.
Um, and how did this one start? I mean, you say your main, I know your main instrument is the bass. Do you start with that from a songwriting perspective, like with a song like this, or how did this one start?
So I always this one starts so I for this project I've definitely I start with guitar. It's all like very just like simple chords, strummy stuff. That's always like the foundation of the song. And then from there, I like, do a scratch track, do the drums, do then the bass on top of the drums just to like lock it into piece. And then from there, I just start playing around like la la la, just melodies and whatnot. And that line from the chorus, like the no, I couldn't believe it. I'm finding my way back down. That came instantly.
Mm,
And I was like, well, that's that. I know that's what I want it to be. And I was just there, like, now what? Like, what does this mean? What can I make out of this?
yeah, yeah.
And it took me weeks, God. It took me like 1 week. I had one idea, like a theme, and I'm like, no, I don't really like that. And then I just jump around bit by bit. It was like a super busy time of the year too. Um, and so finally, there's the story, like the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. I don't know how familiar you are with like the
Hmm.
going down to hell
Yeah.
and skewing the lover and not looking back. And so I played with that concept of just like, okay, diving down, and how do you take something that's valuable and a treasure to you, and like just going down and sacrificing it all, and just making your way down to retrieve this thing that is so precious to you. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay,
yeah,
because that actually that reminds because the cover which is behind you is this kind of destroyed chessboard. But often Greek mythology is like that. It's like this game of chess between Zeus and
yeah,
whoever the demigod is
exactly.
that's fucking up or pissing him off,
What
or like
crazy, weird
who's decided
daily
to
thing.
be with one of his thousands of lovers.
Yeah, exactly. Just to keep Greek mythology as simple as possible, right? So yeah,
Um,
man, that was the inspiration there. Just, like that theme. And I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to like just kind of like fantasy, books,
yeah.
video games, that kind of stuff. So I'm just like, all right, I can take things here and there from stuff that I love and just play with that. And like I feel like it's something that everyone can identify with in one way or another. It's like, okay, losing yourself for something that's greater. So
Mm, yeah, beautiful.
thank
Um,
you, man.
and I'm curious, like, so first of all, I want to say your guitar style is also super unique. And like for anybody that haven't heard Another Night, which is this I mean not compilation, collaboration you did with Post Looperish and Pain in the Ass. And I was like, it started and I was like, when I first heard that song, I was like, who's going to be playing what? I mean, everyone's a multi-instrumentalist, and the first thing I picked out is that's Kevin on guitar
Nice.
because it's really so distinctive, you know. I think it's
Wow.
that's not easy. It's not easy to be distinctive on the guitar. I mean, the guitar is so, you know, woven throughout all of music. So I think that's pretty cool that your guitar style is also so distinctive.
Man, that's awesome. That honestly, just hearing that, just like, wow. All right, I'm doing something right. And like,
Yeah.
there's I feel like it's so easy to just be like, oh, I want to sound like this person or this
Mhm.
guitarist and mimic that. And I feel like for this project, it helps, like I'm comfortable with guitar, but it's not like something, I'm not ripping solos out left and right. It's very just straight chords, a little bit of chorus, maybe a little delay. We're good. So I feel like the simplicity helps out in that.
Yeah. And I'm just curious when you said you're strumming on the guitar and the first vocal part comes in your head, or these lyrics came into your head. When the lyrics come into your head, are they coming into your head with the reverb and delay already on your vocals? Are you already picturing it that way?
I think so. I kind of just have like I got like the typical melodies, but like I do have in mind, like, all right, yeah, they're gonna be washed out. They're gonna be all over the place. So keep that in mind. But I don't think like I have it in mind 100% where it's like, yeah, like because I did have for a moment, like I wanted to do a cleaner take of the vocals for this song
Mm.
and was just playing around with that. And maybe that's why I took so long with finally putting something out, just that like back and forth. But at the end, I'm like, you know what? Like, do what do what you're good at. And so I did that. So
Yeah, I mean, or it could be like you could do a couple mixes of each song, you know, give a little unplugged version or something.
I know, yeah. So I
I guess
know
unplugged is not cool anymore.
if I'm not mistaken, right?
It died about 30 years ago. I'm still suggesting it to people. How about an unplugged?
Oh man.
No, Scott. No, old man.
It's like, yeah, man. Dude, like the nice unplugged, I don't know, Nirvana session, I mean, those are great too, but
Carpet, you know, like put out a carpet, some candles.
man. Oh my gosh. But it's funny. I mean, kind of talking about like vocals and how long it took. And I was chatting with James and like how it takes you moments to have like a part down. I guess that's what he was telling me. I don't know how much of a
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, but you know, to be fair, when you're talking about the bass as your first instrument, then my voice is my first instrument, you know. So
right.
everything else I've added to over the years, but I've always been primarily a vocalist. So that's the one that is easiest for me. And actually, very similarly, if something is a super easy part, I will I will fuck it up many times. I mean, too, if like also if James is trying to get me like, can you take the vibrato out of this? Well, you know, just to give me a take without vibrato. And it's like, what?
What's that? Like
I no can hear.
you want me to talk? What?
So that I find that super challenging. So it's yeah. Um yeah, but I think we may have talked a bit about this last time, but talk a little bit. It's another one of these things when you use a big echo
Mhm.
like that, you know, it's another thing you think, oh, well, that should be easy, but it's really like, you know, it's like a very tender foot on the accelerator. You know?
Yeah.
It's like
Yes.
driving a drag, one of those big drag racers. You know, if you just punch it, you're gonna pop a wheelie and explode.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Or if you
Yeah.
like, if a consonant is, you know, ta, then you got ta, ta,
Yeah,
ta.
yeah. That's like, yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's there. That little subtle thing, it's there
Yeah,
and it's amplified and it's just straight in your face.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like this song was a challenge in that aspect because I did go about it when I finally decided, like, this is the style I want to do. Let's just go for it. And just having takes and takes and takes where it's like, no, I did that. I hear this one little thing. I hear like, I don't know, like I said that part a little too like below or like, it's not perfect, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
definitely does. Yeah, so that was definitely a challenge when recording the vocals and then having like a version, hearing it a week later, and I'm like, I don't like it. Got to go at it again. And, just finding time, like either in the car or just like early in the mornings or whatever, just like get these takes in. So.
And I'm curious too, with from like a vocal recording standpoint. If you're so, let's say you have the main, like the lead vocal for the chorus, right? And you have a certain amount of delay, or actually, are you hearing the delay when you record it, or are you hearing clean when you record it?
I do it with the effect on, yeah. So
Okay,
I,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
So you're playing the effect as an instrument in a way as well. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly. I think you hit it in the head with that. Like that's a kind of how I go about it, almost like if it was like a keyboard, a synth, or something like that.
yeah. So let's say you have this main lead vocal and you're recording it with the delay and reverb on there or whatever you have on there. And it's like it's at a certain, there are certain settings for that, right? Like how quick the delay is, how quick the
Right.
decay is, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, if you do a lead vocal like that, if you do a back, like a supporting vocal, are you keeping all the same effect settings on that, or are you, or do you
Yeah.
change it up?
No, no, yeah, yeah. That's a good question. So I do start off with like that same effect. Like I make like basically a copy paste of that track and do that as like I guess like the baritone bass, backing vocal, but I do manipulate it a little bit just to make it sound a little more, it's not as echoey, it's not as all over
Okay,
the
so it's a
place.
little more
Yes,
clean. Okay,
exactly, exactly.
okay, interesting. And
Yeah,
that's the supporting one that's like that.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, I'll always have like the high end just be a little more spacey and then the
A little
low
more
end.
schmutz. Okay. That's what I call it, schmutz. A little
I
more.
love it.
Like somebody, James, just think, can you just put some more schmutz on this? Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Say no more.
And if you were to have successive supporting vocals underneath that, then would they have the same backing vocal setting? Or do you
I
experiment a bit with each one?
I think, yeah, yeah, it really is just how it's presented in the situation. Like, if I feel it needs more vocals, I would probably be like, let's start off a little cleaner and then see where it goes from there. I haven't gotten there yet, though. I think for now, most of my tracks have just one lead and then like one like lower end like vocal take.
And is it just in my lo-fi world, or or do you find this too, that because you could have a lead vocal that has like a certain EQ, but if the supporting vocal or backing vocal has a slightly different EQ, then that affects the decay, uh I mean the delay, decay, or even
Mhm.
how pronounced the effect is, right?
I think so. Honestly,
Yeah,
I've had moments where that happens, a similar situation. It's like, all right, here's another take on a vocal,
yeah.
and it takes various like just like spinning of like the track or like in the car and like just like the house speakers. I'm like, is it my mind or like yeah, is everything just kind of like whack now? Like
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
All right, so it takes a few listens too, where you're sitting, when you have the basic ingredients of the soup going, then you test
yeah,
it out a few times and just kind of make sure that the general shape of things. You can pick things out, and the general shape is is like, I guess, understandable, or whatever
Exactly.
however you're rating it. Like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for when you have the overall, um, architecture of the few vocal tracks, like on a chorus, and you're listening back to it? What kind of things do you adjust at that point, or what are you
Yeah,
looking?
yeah. It's, I think whenever I get to that point where I'm like, okay, the music's done, I've done a take on the vocals, I like what I'm doing, and I think that's a big part, you know. So then I go back and I record the actual vocal take because, that'll be like a scratch track at that point.
Okay.
Once I get to that point and I think I have something finalized, like what I'm looking for is like, okay, is like the vocal part swaying me in some sort of way?
Mm,
How, like, I almost imagine like a cartoon character, a video game character singing. Like,
mm,
is that kind of the vibe I'm getting? Is it not too in your face, but is it also there? Like,
mm,
I'm trying to make more of an effort to have the vocals a little more present, like just more center stage. Not, I feel like when I started, they were just really, 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 they were the base of my songs back,
mm,
like a year or two ago. So
mm, mm. Yeah, yeah, interesting.
yeah, so that, and then like I always go into with it too because I know what I'm saying, obviously. So like I have that bias. I know it's like, okay, yeah, I get an idea of what I'm saying.
Mm,
Um, but I just keep that in mind. And I think maybe going forward, what I want to play with is just having maybe a track, something similar, but maybe just playing with the EQ where you can actually understand a little bit, like
mm.
a pinch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm on team don't change, Kev, because I love. Well, it's because it's such a unique sound. You know what I mean? I mean, out of all the bands like in this community, you can pick out Basavriuk, right away, and that ain't easy. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's awesome. Thank you.
so that's like, I say run with it. With these whatever strange things make you unique.
Thank you, man. No, honestly, that's super flattering to hear. So I'm gonna keep that and going forward. So
Um, and what else was I going to ask? Oh yeah, I was going to ask if you, like you said, you have the bias of that, you understand, you know what the lyrics are. Do you run it past anybody else before it's your final version, or do you decide everything yourself?
oh, like you mean just I mean, at least with songwriting wise and like lyrics and all that stuff, like the song's a song, I always keep that to myself. It's not like, hey, what do you think of this guitar part? Or what do you think of like what I'm doing?
Yeah,
But
no, but I mean the
I
mix, like the final mix,
oh,
like, yeah.
oh yeah, I bugged the heck out of James.
Okay, so
Like
you're saying James. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
I was like, dude, I don't know if this sounds like dog poo. Um, can I run it through you and see what you think? And he was very supportive and helpful, and like, nope, it sounds good. If I was to do this, but I wouldn't touch it. That was his. He was very,
Mm.
very, very helpful with that, and like he understands what I'm going for too, and I think that really helps.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of, well, it's hard to say because there's so many things that are great about James, but just the fact that he gets you,
Yeah.
right? He gets you. He knows what you're going for,
Yes.
and he's not gonna suggest some bizarre addition to what you're already doing. He's like, he
Yeah.
gets what you're going for, and he tries to support that outcome, which is so wonderful.
I agree. It's not very common. Yeah, it's very rare that you'll find someone like that will understand your agenda and like do the best in their power to help you achieve that. Like I know he's done it so well with what you've done too, I gotta say.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I'm so grateful. I mean, it's, yeah. Um, Now, I hope that I'm not getting anybody in trouble here, but we were talking about you, me and James, and
Okay.
he played a remix
Hmm.
for me. Can we talk about that, or is that
We
top
can,
secret?
let's go in. You know what? It's funny. I had
A
in my
a remix of Howl, which kicks fucking ass.
Thank you, man. I agree. I don't know what he like. Well, obviously, I know what he did, but like just when he showed the version that you heard, I'm like, whoa, what is this? Like, who am I listening to?
Yeah, it was I didn't I was like it's like Basavriuk on like not on steroids because that's too much, but it's there's something, a little human growth hormone or something, you know?
Yeah, right. I honestly, yeah, I in my head it's like parallel universe
Yeah.
version of Hal with just like, oh my gosh, what he did with the vocals and like the drums and just the space of it all, but also like maintaining what I did with it. And I think that's really cool that like he was able to like just do both in one.
Exactly. Yeah, there was like some kind of optimization that you can't put your finger on, and yet it was still your song and your the things that you do, obviously, and all your
Yeah.
parts. So yeah, it was very, but yeah, really cool. And when is that coming out?
We're actually pushing for next month,
Next month?
maybe.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
yeah,
I think that's so awesome. I can't wait for
th-
people to hear that.
yeah, so
And
those.
it's interesting because it's like Howl is this thing that it's like the song that wouldn't stop howling, right? Because you
Yeah.
also have some didn't you post that someone's putting it out on a label? Uh
Yeah, so there's, I mean, it's a super small, like independent cassette label. They're like, yeah, we're gonna put it out. And but that's been months, and I'm just, you know what? I will once they get to it, cool. They got back to me that's like, hey, we got the sleeve art and everything ready to go. So I'm anxiously waiting for that day too. So yeah.
oh, cool. And did they approach you or did you approach them or how did it
Oh
work?
no, that was one of the hundreds of emails that I put out like
Okay.
during when I was promoting Hal.
Oh,
And it looks,
interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, because I'm always wondering like that because I'm doing this like releasing these singles, like James does,
yeah.
and then then the last single will be the single for an album,
Wow.
that
Oh
maybe
wow. Okay.
has like three new songs on it, right? So maybe
Awesome.
that will be in June or something like that. And
Okay.
so I was like, but it's interesting that you've put out so many emails because I wrote one email to a label, because I thought I liked the people on the label. I thought it was a good fit. So I wrote one message.
Uh,
Okay,
Awesome.
I haven't submitted my music to a record label in 35 years. Okay.
Yeah, it's it's a lot
And I,
different these
I wrote
days.
one message, and the answer was it wasn't even like we don't like your stuff or anything like that, but they're not signing anyone this year because they signed 3 acts last year. They're not signing anyone this year. And they even said, lots of great songs, love what you do with the show, da 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 da. And they knew this
But
Independent Art Unite show. So it was a positive thing, you know what I mean? But I was
yeah,
like,
it's like, thank you, I guess.
I will never submit my music ever
Oh my gosh.
again.
The hurt. It's tough, man. Yeah.
Okay, so you're inspiring me that you sent out a whole lot of emails. So maybe
Oh
I
my
can
God.
send out another one. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Try one. I mean, try one more, right?
Yeah,
Like, can't. It's tough, man, because I've talked to James, I've talked to Jeremy a lot too from Post Looperish
yeah,
about this, and just the whole like, how do you go about getting your music and something that you love and that you
yeah,
cherish and putting it into like people's arms and like, you know, they're gonna look at it and be like, it's not for me. Like,
yeah.
and just
I
being
mean,
okay with that, you know?
yeah, yeah. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, I have to say I'm better at it now than I ever have been in my life, due to like outside kind of intense spiritual work that I had to do to remain sane over the years. But
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
so I'm better at letting go. I'm better, much better at letting go, and I don't take it as seriously. And James is very good about that too. I'm sure you've had conversations with him.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
But I would like, of course, because you want your music to get to reach, more people, So anyway, I
right.
hope I hope that happens with the cassette release, because
Thank you,
I hope
man.
they do some promotion on it and it reaches some more people. That's all I have in mind too. Is if I could double my reach, then it would be worth it. To try um, to put something out if people are going to promote it. All right. So the next
Absolutely.
thing from Basavriuk will be the remix,
The remix. That's correct.
and then after that, it may be the cassette release. Or do you have something?
Yeah, the cassette release, really, that's really on their schedule. So when it comes out, awesome. And I will buy it and I'll be stoked to have my own copy and just nerd out on that.
But
Uh,
I feel like you're sitting on like 10 songs that you're not telling us about, Kevin. Is that the
I'm
truth? Is
so
that true?
so I am actually
Why, Kevin?
what are you doing there? I'm actually so I have been working on new material. So what something I was going to mention to you was that this song Below and Beyond came about because I was working on another song and I was having a tough time with that, and I just fiddled around with the guitar and I'm like, I like this. I'm gonna
Oh,
let me.
interesting. Yeah.
I'm yeah. So I have a few songs recorded, mostly just the music, a few here and there that have some vocal tracks that either I'll keep or redo. And the bigger picture is I do want to put out something bigger, call it an EP, call it an album. We'll see when we get there. But so there's the Hal remix, and then maybe I might put out one single to promote whatever I'm working on now. And then so I feel like
Okay.
between this song and then whatever I put out then that'll be like the
Okay.
bigger picture.
And with the bigger EP coming out like in the summer or something like that, or fall?
I really want to push for summer. I would
Yeah.
even say late spring, but I think that's being optimistic.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking summer, mid.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. You're giving us songs. Jesus.
Everyone
Your
legit.
fans are clamoring for
Yeah.
more.
Everyone's like, what are you doing with your life, man?
No, it's just that I love your music, so I'm always wanting more. More, more,
Awesome.
more. And
Awesome.
well, thank you so much for coming back on this little show here and talking
Absolutely.
about Below and Beyond and your other projects. No, am I saying it right? Below and Beyond, or Beyond and Below?
Below and beyond. I
Below
have
and
done the
Beyond.
same thing as you,
Okay,
beyond and
sorry.
below. And
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, that's not it.
No, which is it? Am
Yep.
I messing it up?
Below and beyond.
Below and Beyond. So I'm saying it right.
Yes.
Okay. I have some issues, as you know.
I've got the same. I'm like, swap one thing for another.
All right, man. Well, love the new song. Love your music. Super excited for everything that's coming ahead. And yeah, be talking to you
Heck yeah,
on the
man.
big Instagram, man. Love you.
Oh, absolutely, man. Love getting updates from you all the time, man. So thank you again, man.